a half a minute because that's
Yeah.
how it works. All right. And then like it's so weird. The Instagram is always has this delay, which is so I don't know. It used to be faster. Like it used to be like I could hit go live in Instagram and it like right after we went live here and it would be like boom. And now
Yeah.
it's got like a 5-6 second delay, which feels like a billion.
Yeah. I'm on Facebook. I can only access it through either Facebook or my YouTube channel for some
Oh,
reason.
okay.
Those are the options that it gives me. So I chose Facebook because I'm
Why
on
not?
that more than YouTube. I don't even remember my login for YouTube.
Oh, I don't. No, mine's it's completely automatic. So in case anyone's joined us, welcome to another Run Wild with us. You can ask us whatever. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild. I'm here with some of our fabulous, fabulous editors, and specifically with the incredible Cecilia. And we are basically talking about the fact that I chose to have some Malibu rum on ice today and how it tastes like dessert.
It's a good choice. It's delicious.
And like all the different varieties that you could have of, rum.
Yes.
I just love that there's a total rum. I mean, a total wine next to a fitness store. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
it's a whole strip mall. So like you can get so
wow.
much done. It's like a Men's Warehouse as well as a pho shop. And
Okay.
then like there's kickboxing, like you can do anything at this strip mall. But also there's like a whole wine store and it's got everything. It's got even like little gifts for people who love wine and drinking. So yeah, it's amazing.
They've thought it
So
through. They've thought it through.
I'm hoping that they see this and like give me a discount or something or like free
Right?
free
I mean,
wine.
come on. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my go-tos are usually wine or gin. Like I
Yeah.
when I cuz if I have like a gin martini when I go out for dinner, like it's like a nice like you've now chilled out.
Yeah.
But then I was at AWP and a friend of mine, she's into vodka.
Hmm.
And I was like, and I go with whatever, as long as it's not something super disgusting, like,
Yeah.
I'm down, right? So we were having vodka martinis. Oh my God, Cecilia. I'm like, now I remember why I don't drink vodka because it just goes down so smooth
It does, yeah.
that it's just like, you're like, oh my God, I suddenly had 3 martinis and I have no idea how.
When I was in Spain, so I was there as a college student studying,
Yeah.
and the mother of my family, my host mother, would give us like so much food, and I was kind of like feeling, like my stomach was upset. And she goes, "Oh, a gin and tonic will take care of that." I was like, "I don't know," but it did. It really did. It was perfect.
Peter,
She she knew
we're
what she was
talking
doing.
about our favorite inebriants. So I don't
Hi.
know. I happen to have a Malibu rum on ice. So
Ah,
yeah.
should have said something. I'd have poured myself another cocktail.
See? I mean, you're still welcome to if you want.
Make the conversation much more interesting.
Right? Yeah. So if I suddenly like don't make any sense, although I'm not claiming that I always do, then I have an excuse this time.
So how have you been since AWP?
Oh my gosh. I am so thankful I'm home. And we have Barbara too. Woohoo! Man, we're getting a full house tonight. Woohoo! So Barbara, we're talking about our favorite inebriants and that I happen to have a Malibu rum on ice today. So
And unfortunately, she's drinking alone. That's the problem.
that is obviously the problem. We have to fix that. We totally have to fix that.
I still have to do my physical therapy exercises after this, so I don't think
Oh,
I'll have anything yet.
blah blah blah.
Although I
Excuses.
won't feel it. I won't feel it if I do have a little rum beforehand. That would
See,
be
you'll be so much better if you actually had. I mean, now tomorrow you may be in distinct pain, but
right.
so let's see. Since AWP, oh, I went to the Tucson Festival of Books. 140,000 attendees.
Wow.
I had a book signing where I kind of cheated because I had my books and I had books I edited and I had books that I just really liked that we published. And we sold out of a few. We sold out of Cure, so mine. We sold out of I Was Spider-Man by Scott Leva. And we sold, see, I already started not making any sense. And we also sold out of, excuse me, oh gosh darn it. No Fucks Given by Nobody Fucking Important. Oh. Barbara, that's his nom de plume. So it's legal for me to say it. I'm just saying.
I have no problem with that.
See, there it is.
He followed me on Instagram, and if I hadn't have known, the name and everything from I probably would have been like, "Oh, who is that?" But that's really cool.
And actually, for real, it got stolen. Somebody took some of our advanced review copies and decided to sell them on eBay for like $100 each.
Oh, wow.
And the author found it and went, "Lisa, did you do this?" And I was like, "Did I do what?"
So you said fuck no is what you said.
I know, right? And I had to go on eBay and ask the guy or tell the guy, "God, dude, like it's not legal for you to sell this. It's not even on sale yet." Ben, we're talking about No Fucks Given and how it showed up miraculously on eBay. And
Ben did it. Ben did it.
Ben did it. He totally
Ben
did it. And it was, I had to tell the guy like 3 times, like, you need to take this down. Like, this is not legal. And every time he was like, oh yeah, right. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing that.
Call the cops on him. If he stole the copies.
It was so weird. I think he would like take it offline and then he'd bring it back online. And when he'd bring it back was when the author would find it again.
Oh my goodness.
Right? So yeah. So that, and then let's see. I feel like, and then this weekend I'll be at WonderCon. So I'll be on a panel at WonderCon on Sunday. That should be a lot of fun. And then I have a book signing for 27 Stories anthology, where all of the proceeds will go to Habitat for Humanity of Los Angeles. So that should be cool. I have no idea why I'm so. Do I look dark to everybody else, or is it just me?
No, you look dark.
I look dark. Yeah, I don't know. I have like bright lights on and everything, and it's just deciding to be like, screw you. So I have no idea. But anyway, Diane Schneider says, sold out is great. Congratulations. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, believe me, I was working it. Like every time anybody walked by, I was like, hey, favorite kind of story. And they were like, oh, I mean, that's like the best question to ask anybody, especially at like a book festival, because they're there because they love books, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I was just like, hey, what's your favorite kind of story? And they're like, oh, yay, I'll tell you whatever you want. I'm like, yay, here, buy this. So that's basically it. How about you guys? What have you guys been up to? Especially Peter, who's been MIA. I'm just saying.
I had to take a much needed break last week. Thank you for the permission to not attend. But things have been going good here. We're finally finishing up a kitchen project that feels like it's been going on for a month. It actually took less than 8 days, and contractors keep messing up. So they keep having to come back and fix what the other team messed up. So we're nearing the end. So hopefully by Saturday it'll be all done. But speaking of book fests, we're going to the Venice Book Festival, Venice Book Fair, either Saturday or Sunday this weekend. I think it's workshops on Saturday and book sale on Sunday. So I'm really looking forward to that. Seeing the different booksellers out there and seeing how what the book scene is like in Southwest Florida. So
very cool.
And I'm still editing Brooke, and it's coming along. So things are moving.
So Barbara, we
Yes?
rarely see you, so that means you're now on the spot. So what have you been up to, young lady?
I'm having a really bad week that I don't want to talk about.
Aww. Have you had a good week at any point in time since we last saw you?
I have good weeks, but I lost my kitten this week.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were talking about your kitten. I'm so sorry.
He was the dearest kitten, and I'm having a really hard time with it. So,
got it. Understood. Well, Ben is entertaining, so that means we're going to now put the spot on Ben. Hopefully, he can get you to giggle in some way.
I better.
You better, damn it.
Yes. It's let's see. We got the African memoir off to production. It's in Double E's hands, and the poetry anthology is ready to go to Double E's hands. Okay. I'm waiting for her to answer a question that she blocked all my emails, I think. But
I think she's kind of swamped, and she just accepted us. Let's just say we're gonna have an org change soon, and so she just accepted a new role.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She'll still be with us, guys. Don't worry. And I'll give everyone an update probably tomorrow. I've just been waiting on something, but yeah.
Yeah, and the poetry anthology, the Cosmos was talking to us, and we didn't submit it until one last poet came through, and we added 3 poems from the last poet, but we got it shook out to be about 89, 90 pages.
Wow.
But each poet has their own page for their bio. So which was and it's in sections. So right before their poems come up, they have a bio.
Okay.
And, yeah. So it's format. I like the way it shook out to be formatted, and we'll let production take it from there.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. You're just making magic happen. That's
great.
The
magic is happening. And I've started the Women's Knitting and Sci-Fi Club, which is it's a fun read. It's a fun novel.
I was going to say that I just love the title. Like, even if it sucked, I would have been like, we have to get it because the title's awesome. And like,
no, it's well done, and the pieces are coming together as it progresses nicely.
Oh, good.
It's some interesting characters and an interesting concept to bring them all together.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, that title has always just been like, God damn, we need that. Like, that's just awesome.
Yes.
So my favorite, Cecilia, what have you been up to, young lady?
Still editing lots of stuff. I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before, that I sent off Seattle At Least into production. And so I'm excited about that one as well. And it's going to, I don't know, that was, it's going into production, and it's one of those memoirs. It's just a lot of fun. It's very specific. It's about, having a dream about a bicycle that shows up on your doorstep, and it does. and he's got to take this trip, this long journey from San Francisco to Seattle and all the stories in between. And I love how focused it is of a memoir. So it's just specifically about that journey, and it's a lot of fun, and it's really insightful too. So that was a treat to work on. And then I've got one that I've finished editing this round, so I'm ready to hand that off to the author. And I just met with a lovely author today for starting a new project. Running
Wow.
Wild. So, yeah. And then I'm still editing for Flash Fiction Magazine. We're closing up one contest, and we'll probably start another one, I don't know, maybe mid-April, and I'll probably be editing for that one as well. And then this week I got my first poetry acceptance.
Wow.
So I'm excited. I don't typically write poetry, so that's a first.
So was his name Ben, the acceptor?
No, it wasn't Ben, but you know what? I probably should have run it past Ben before. I just, I had this, I wrote it years ago, and I was like, oh, I have this. Why don't I just send it out, see what happens? And that one made it. I don't know that I don't know that I'll have such luck again, because I typically don't do poetry's hard. I don't know. But I had a little bit of luck.
That's congratulations. That's
Yeah.
fabulous.
A little bit of talent. I mean, there is that too.
Or a lot of talent. I don't
A lot
know.
of
Just
talent,
saying.
exactly.
My advice would have been, send it out.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I figured it would have. So I was like, just do what Ben would do. What would Ben do?
WWBD. That should be
Right, exactly.
I thought that was all of our go-to, right?
Right.
Well, for anybody watching, if you have any questions, please feel free. Go ahead, toss them in the chat. What we basically do is I'll repeat the question, and then we'll just take turns in answering them. So, actually, so I was thinking about this weekend, because I'm in the middle of revising my next lycanthrope / werewolf novel, War Dogs. Curious, what's each one of your personal methods for revising your work? Wow, that got really quiet.
A lot of like you've said before, Lisa, just reading it out loud, and then where I'm struggling or I'm thinking, wow, this is really dull, I'll have a brainstorm. What could I add in here? What could I do? And just make notes about it, and then go back through and add those things. Or I'll start to see critically, especially after I've had some distance, this scene isn't working, or there's a lot missing from this scene. I could be doing a lot more with this. So just making those notes in the margins, and not trying to do it all at once, but then going back in and just expanding parts a little bit more. I'm used to writing flash fiction, so for me, trying to get a full-length novel is difficult. So I tend to write really condensed, and then I have to go back and I'm like, okay, but there's potential for these characters to grow here, or there's potential for this scene to be a little bit more clear, concrete. So then I can go back through. Once I have the bones down, then I can go back in and flash it out here and there. And that's a fun part too, because it's still, I think people view editing, or at least I used to view editing as you're no longer creating anymore, but you are, because you have to go back in there and continue to create in order to get what you want out of what you want for your readers. So it's still very much a creative process. It's analytical and creative at the same time.
Got it. Oh my gosh, I love that.
My approach is,
Go ahead.
I agree with reading it out loud, because your ear hears things that your eyes don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for a line reading, that helps your prose and helps your story and your plot and your characters. But biggest thing for me is to divorce myself from the manuscript. That's one of the biggest things I have with authors, because they think their manuscript is themselves. They take offense. No, offense is too strong a word, but they have issues with being criticized, and I need to take myself away from that so that I'm editing my own work, that it is completely a separate entity for myself. Yes, I created it, but I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it from its own perspective. It's its own thing. I need to go through it with a surgical pen. Put in a phrase I enjoy, and craft it to be as good as good as it can be, with images and plot lines and characters that jump off the page, so that it's not my work, it's its own thing. So, I mean, everything she was saying is perfect, but that's just how I approach it, very clinically.
Cool. Then Barbara, how about you guys?
I don't really write fiction anymore. Everything I write is nonfiction, and my process is very scattered. I'm much better at editing than other people's work than my own. But I think one of the key things is to give it some time and go back and look and see if you still like what you wrote.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, it's a process of handwriting the idea down and then cleaning up the handwritten part in a second copy. So to get the line breaks right. Of course, I'm talking about poetry, but to see how the line breaks and the flow of each line works, because I'll use a lot of internal rhymes, and I like to swing ideas off of those internal rhymes to get the poem headed in the right direction. And then the third iteration would be when I type it up. If I type it up, because let me type up something else, and so it really goes through the original and then an edit and then another edit when I type it, and maybe even a quick read through before I submit it. So 4 times of getting eyes on it, but reading it out loud absolutely helps, because sometimes, like Peter said, your ears will hear what your eyes don't see. And even a repetitive word, so, well, I've got to come up with another word, because who put that in there? And but that's the poetry approach. But it's if I have a collection, and usually my collections have a theme running through them, and once they're all typed up, what I'll find the most in reviewing them is typos. And that's what an editor's for. So I don't worry about it.
Fight me that that's not true.
Yeah. But no, so it's a process. And then any short stories will, once I read them and see how the language flows. And I've talked about it before, but there's, when your work loses energy and it just drags, and it. And the key is to admit it and fix it and say, that's lost energy in that passage. Let me do some work on it.
Do you guys write it out in longhand or type it?
I use pen and paper in journals and fold it away.
I do
I
both.
wish I had the patience and the time to write out the first draft, because it's so much better, so much more rich and full, written out in hand. And then you can edit it and then transfer it to typing. If you've got the rough draft by hand, it's just it's phenomenally better. But I don't have the time or the patience.
I've done both. Like for the one that I handed into Running Wild Press, that got accepted, I wrote all of that out by hand, just 30 minutes a day in the morning and then typing it later on. And my handwriting is so bad, I can't read it. So I actually was improvising as typing it. No, seriously, it's bad. It's really bad. So I was like, oh, I can't read it. So I'd have to improvise while typing, but I got most of it. But there is still that relationship to pen and paper that feels so personal and creative. But I've started, I've been experimenting with a new book that I'm trying to put together.
Okay.
It is memoir, but of all the jobs I've ever worked, like from the time I was like, just little jobs around the house from when I was little to like all of my summer jobs and, the jobs that I've had in between. And so, and it's humor. So I find that with the humor, I can just kind of get onto the computer and start typing really fast because it needs to be, I can't think about it. It has to just come out. So for that writing, I do completely on computer. But my flash fiction and I think any books that I write, I have to write it. I have to at least write something out first, maybe at least the first chapter, and then I can switch over.
Do any of you dictate?
Sorry, go ahead.
Do any of you dictate your writing?
No.
Yeah.
I should, because my brain can't keep up. My hand can't keep up with my brain while I'm writing. So I tend to get frustrated because I just can't keep up. I'm three paragraphs ahead of where I'm writing, so it's frustrating.
I mean, honestly, my similar to what both, I think more like what Cecilia described, my process just evolves.
Mhm.
Like I always do. It's like I'll handwrite the first version of the outline,
Mhm.
and then I'll type it in. As while I'm typing it in, I realize, ooh, that doesn't quite work. Let me do this instead. And then I'll end up revising it as I'm typing it in. And then I'll write it out. And like with this book, I'm, I wrote it out, and then I had almost a year just because I had so much editing that I needed to work on. And so, I had so much distance. I realized I wasn't writing in the character's voice. I was writing it in my voice. Cause she was using, language that it's not common. Let me just put it that way. So a lot of what I'm doing is, and I realized it because as Peter described, I was reading it out loud and I'm like, wait, that doesn't sound natural. Why doesn't that sound natural? Oh, right. Cause I would say it that way. But the primary character, probably would not. So a lot of, and then the revisions that I'm doing are by hand. Because it also enables me to realize like when transitions don't work, there's not enough description so that the reader can actually be in the story. I haven't built it enough so that the characters are building a relationship, like especially when you have two characters who just met each other, how are you providing that kind of detail or that kind of interaction that it enables the reader to say, oh, they're getting along, right? They're going to have a more long-term relationship in some capacity, right? So it's leaving those hints that, you may not think of if you're just doing it, straight up. So, and then once I'm done this, then I'll type it back in and I'll go, ew, that doesn't work, right? And I'll revise a whole bunch of stuff again. And then most likely, actually then, I have a few dear friends who are very, very critical. And I give them copies of it, including my husband. And I'm like, here you go. Feel free. Tell me, whatever you want. And it's so funny because I get more feedback on, I don't like this character. Like, I know, this isn't a criticism, but I think he's a dick. And I'm like, well, yeah, he's supposed to be a jackass. Like, that's the whole point. Okay, well, it works, but he's a dick.
that means you wrote them well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, hey, I accomplished my goal, right? So yeah, it's I think everyone just basically described, we all do you do a little bit of everything, because I think it almost like it engages a different part of your brain, you know? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I can like feel it, like when it's more of a more detailed portion, that it's much more tactical, and versus when I'm being more creative, and that aspect of my brain is being engaged, and I'm bringing that forward and coming up with wild crap that I'll get both love and hate mail about, which is fine. So, but I Barbara, similar to you, I still write a lot of nonfiction just by necessity. So, yeah. Wow, I see the number of our viewers has increased, which is fabulous. So anyone who's just recently joined us, please feel free to go ahead and put any questions or comments that you may have into the comments section of whatever venue you are currently watching us. And typically what will happen is I will read your question or comment, and then we will each take turns in responding. See, no one talks like that except for me, right? Because like, who uses words like responding, like said? So, so cool. And I don't know if you guys have anything that you want to bring up as well.
Well, I was just thinking of that idea of process, and when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, I wanted a job at the local newspaper, so I went to the editor, and he let me come on board and do like a few stories here and there. And
wow,
we didn't have laptops, we didn't have phones, we had pen and paper. So I would go out and interview the sources, write everything down. Then I'd come back to the newsroom where there were tons of computers, and I would continue to write the story by hand. And there was another editor, a managing editor, and he'd come over and yell at me. He was like, "That takes too much time. You have to type immediately the story from your notes." And I was just like, don't mess with my process. Like, I couldn't tell him because, he was my boss, but I was like, but that's my process. And I type really fast. Once I have, like, it would, in my mind, it took the same amount of time, whether I'd written it by hand and then typed it, or if I had, so it was really hard to try to bend to somebody else's idea of what my process should be. Have you ever had a teacher or I don't know, a supervisor or anybody or a professor who insisted on a process for your writing? And how did that work out?
Oh, wow.
Have you ever had that? Or somebody like wants to mess with your process?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tolerate that.
I was young and I figured I had to because he was my boss. And so I did. And so I learned to adapt, but I didn't like it when I wasn't in that environment anymore. I went back to what I normally do.
When I was in grad school, I had a fellow student who we were in the same cohort together. And, anyone who hasn't been in an MFA program, I mean, it works like a workshop, right? You submit something to go over during the period when it was a low residency, during the period when you guys are all like sitting together, and then you're supposed to give feedback, and, your instructor basically facilitates the conversation and provides feedback as well, right? So I had one gentleman, he had long been retired. If I remember correctly, once upon a time, he had been a journalist. And to be candid, his writing, there was no action. Like, it was like the characters just basically looked around all the time, right? He was just describing the environment, and it was so fucking boring, right? I mean, and thankfully I'm not naming the person. His vocabulary wasn't full enough for it to actually be really engaging, right? Like but his focus was purely on like the flowers and the trees and the ocean and the, roadway. And it was just like, oh my God, like what's the point of this? So they get to, I had this one book that for a while I had it out for submission. And let's just say it's very cross genre. I'll just leave it that way. But the title of it is Newly Minted Wings and Smoky French Fries. And he hated it. And he spent, I want to say like 15 minutes basically dictating to me how I needed to have much more much more description in it. And he would basically, went on and on about how he knew what he was talking about because, his background in journalism and everything. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, but there's not, he wasn't actually giving instances where there wasn't enough description. He just kept saying, you almost like you have too much action going on. There's too much
too much action.
Yeah, there's too much activity in this. And I thought, this is so damn weird because, like, I want to say all of like a month prior, I had gone to, I think it was Yale Writers Workshop, and I had submitted the first 15 pages of Newly Minted Wings and Smoky French Fries. And literally, like, when I came in, two of the women who were in the same workshop with me stopped me in the hallway and were like, oh my God, I love that. It was fucking awesome. And I was like, cool, I can die a good human, right? Like, yay. So it was weird to go from that to this guy who was just like, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this. And like, as he's like dictating all this, I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And that's when it clicked for me, like, oh, he has a specific way of doing things, and he has what his vision is of a great story. Mm-hmm. And so everyone has to follow that, right? Mm-hmm. And it was once I realized that, and I could have that emotional distance, I just listened to him. And mm-hmm. Cecilia, to your point, of course, I kind of blew him off because he wasn't telling me anything I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. Like everything he was describing in terms of process and new other ways of doing things, like I knew it, but it was almost as if he wanted, anything when someone was doing there was any kind of actual conflict or action, he wanted it all taken out,
That's so strange.
Right.
That's what a story is. It's conflict and action.
Yeah.
One of the books I just worked on was called The Workshop, and it was about a writer's workshop, and it was a murder mystery. But I found it so interesting how well the author captured what workshops are like, and the tensions in them, and the conflicts. And in this case, it led to a murder. So that was.
I could see that.
I could see how that would happen. Yeah.
Because don't have more often in reality.
So, all right. So along those lines, what was the most like conflict-filled workshop you guys have ever attended? And did you kill someone as a result of it?
All right. Well, my take on that is,
own it.
I don't know if this fits your definition of conflict filled, but I once went to I think it was Iowa. I went to the Iowa Writers Workshop, rode my bike, Illinois to Iowa, and I was in this workshop, and we were all sharing our work, and one author says, "I'm not showing you my stuff." And I'm like, what?
Okay.
Like, no, it's too good. I'm not telling you the title. I'm not showing you my words. I'm not doing anything. I just want to hear your input. I want to hear your feedback. Like, but you haven't given us anything to read. I know it's too good. I can't share this with you. They're all looking at like, I mean, they're looking at them with incredulity. Like, well, what the hell are you doing here?
Mm.
And that was his way of workshopping his work because it was that good that nobody else could look at it because we might steal his idea.
Oh.
So, and I have since
I've heard
never heard
that.
of this man again. Never heard of him
Yeah.
again at all. So it wasn't that good of an idea.
I don't know, Ben, how about you?
The first one was that jumped out was the workshop with Louise Gluck, the Nobel laureate.
Okay.
She didn't like my stuff,
Okay.
and but I didn't like hers either, so it was okay. And, yeah, she went on to win the Nobel, and I went on to work at Running Wild Press. So
Yeah.
there.
There you go.
Yeah, so she doesn't count,
And-
clearly.
Yeah. And I remember one time when there was a poem that I didn't read. Well, I read it, but I read it wrong. I got the wrong point out of it, and missed the whole point of it. And so I was explaining my take on it, and I kind of looked up around the table, and the response was like, "What did you read? That's not it at all." I said, "Oh, okay, I missed it. Let me just sneak back over here and go talk to Louise." But yeah, but then there was a
What was your
my take
You know-
was it was something being explained that they had actually shot the dog. It wasn't a car backfiring, but I missed the whole point of shooting the dog because
Oh.
yeah, they had to shoot the dog. So the grandfather went, and the kids heard it, and he explained it as the car backfired. And I was thinking, well, the car backfired, and that wasn't right. But this one goes back to the process. It was in a college English class where we had to write an essay on Carson McCullers' book, novella, Ballad of a Sad Cafe.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to spoof it and write Salad at a Bad Cafe,
Yeah.
but I haven't done it yet. But the essay
Do
I
it.
turned in looked like an essay. It,
Okay.
first glance, it looked like an English essay and college essay. But
Mm.
every two lines rhymed. So it was written in couplets.
Oh.
And the
Okay.
teacher put her feedback on it. And she said, "I've never received an essay written in verse, the response to which I'll have to rehearse."
Oh my
So-
God, I love her.
Yeah, I passed. Long story short, I still passed. But I still want to write that Salad at a Bad Cafe instead of Ballad at a Sad Cafe.
Yes.
Yeah. And steal shamelessly from Carson McCullers. Why not?
How dare you?
Yeah.
Oh my.
So conflict
gosh.
follows me. Conflict follows me. Most of it's self-induced.
I was gonna say, not that you generate it. Not at all.
No. Let's mix this up.
Cecilia, how about you?
I've never done a writer's workshop where my work was like you do that, sometimes, in class and that kind of thing, but a formal writer's workshop, no. But I've been to plenty of conferences like MLA and those kinds of things, and they get very, very volatile. So my strategy was always like, okay, I am going to go up here and read this paper to everybody.
Mhm.
And I'm going to
It's
have fun
for them.
reading it because when it comes to the questions, they're just going to attack me, and I'm just going to be able to put on my resume that I attended this conference and I presented at it, and that's all I wanted. And sure enough, there's always somebody in the back who's like, I hated everything. I disagree with everything. And you just say, thank you. And when's lunch? And you get out as fast as you can. So that was my strategy during those kinds of things. But I've never done like a formal writer's work. Well, I've never really written anything yet. That was big, other than to just give to people to look at and to receive their feedback, but in a workshop environment, nothing yet. So I'll have to do that. It'd be interesting to do. There are plenty of them. Like at conferences, they have breakout sessions, don't they, where you can go through
Some of them,
yeah.
Yeah. I think my all-time favorite was I was at a Philadelphia Writers Conference, and it was one of the first conferences that I'd ever gone to. And Cecilia, to your point, they had this like optional, you could sign up for it. You submit like 10 pages, blah, blah, blah. And I don't actually remember what I submitted, and I don't remember the workshop. All I remember was I was just elated because people actually liked my writing that I had to go get ice cream. Like I was just like, yeah, I don't suck,
Yeah.
And then it was the end of the last workshop, and the head of the workshop, so he had it was like a 3-book series with Penguin or one of those, where it was, a series. And he kept talking about how he had to go off and, he was going to have to, work on, I think he was working on the 3rd book in the series, blah, blah, blah. And he says, okay, Lisa, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. And so he pulls me aside, and this is before the very, very end of the conference. And he pulls me into a side room, and he's like, okay, I have been writing, and mind you, I think I was 27, 28, something like that at this point. And he's like, okay, I have been at this for 20 years, which means honestly, I think maybe he was lucky if he was 40. So that was clearly an exaggeration, but and he's like,
went to college when he was 10.
Right, exactly. He's 20 when he wrote his first Mary Had a Little Lamb when he was okay, fine. And and he says, but I have to tell you, if you keep writing the way you're writing, because you're a very literary writer. And I was like, yeah, I realize that. It's very character driven. I get that. And he's like, okay, but if you keep writing this way, then I have to tell you, you're going to be 50 before you actually publish anything. And I just sat there and I thought, well, that's not so bad. I think I could do that. I went, okay. And the look on his face was just like, huh? And, in retrospect, a few, however long later, he was trying to tell me you need to start writing genre fiction because that's what actually sells. And that's what you would be able to, get a book deal for, not cross genre literary fiction. And of course I just thought, oh, good, I have a timeline. Sweet.
You have a goal.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I understand. So yeah, that was my favorite one. It wasn't a confrontation, but I thought that was hilarious because it was clear he was very upset that I wasn't upset.
You weren't upset, yeah.
Yeah, I had it was a discussion at Tampa one day. And the conflict was actually based on experience. And so it opened out of what do you do with the obscure reference in a book? Do you want your reader to look it up, or does it matter? Because depending on your story, you're going to put obscure references in there. But I had written a poem. And in the military, the work uniform, your fatigues the pants or trousers,
Mhm.
and then the top is your blouse.
Mhm.
And so I was talking about the military blouse, but I just said blouse. And there was a classmate in the room that said, that's not a blouse. That's what women wear. Women wear blouses. That's a uniform. I said, well, the top part is called a blouse. That's what the military calls it.
Mhm.
And we had to go back and forth to get on the same page of perspective. And it was, if you look it up, any military reader is going to know what the blouse is. They've heard it, and they call the pants the trousers, the trow, and so it's the language that you use that sometimes causes the conflicts based on experience and perspective. And that it was an eye opener that day to let's make sure that the language is what people know or don't know, and look it up.
Well, that's fair. Well,
Yeah.
or they don't know, but you have enough of an inference or reference to what the common terminology is
Yeah.
that they can infer it from the language. Again,
Yeah.
Lisa speak, so clearly no one else would ever talk this way. But anyway, yeah.
But if you're in the military handling weapons, you can call your shirt anything you want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again. Sorry.
We've got
If you're
the
in the
list.
military working with weapons, you can call your shirt anything you want.
Yep. You bet.
Yeah. Blouse. That's kind of cool.
Well, I thought it was common terminology to call a shirt a blouse. No?
Usually, I think her perspective was the blouse is what women wear when they like business casual. That's a blouse, and the buttons are on the wrong side or the right side, either way you look at it.
But I mean, like, I thought that, like, especially like European, especially in European terminology, a shirt is a blouse.
Yeah.
So I can see why. Never mind. I'll just be quiet now.
To
And
build on
it's
that,
probably
though,
where it comes from. I never looked it up to see why the military calls it that, but it's probably got roots in Europe.
Yeah, that's where it originated. Yeah.
Yeah, if you track it back. But that goes back to the obscure reference.
Right. I think the author should put references to that term so that the reader doesn't have to look it up.
Yeah.
They can see how it fits in to the story without having to put the book down, go to the dictionary, go to online. So they have references to frame it in such a way that they understand what's going on without interrupting the flow of the story.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but that's the key, is that's what it's really about. It's not interrupting that flow. I mean, that's the whole intent of ensuring that you're using references that at least others can delineate from, right? So, yeah.
Exactly, but even to throw in your stories, like he's a military blouse, well, some people might complain that that's for women only. He's like, no, it goes back to such and such, that this is this, and that's
Right.
that.
Right.
Just accept it and move on.
Yeah. Yeah, when especially in poetry, when you're trying to be minimally impactful, the military blouse has to. This is what it is, and I didn't make it up. That was in the other line.
Yeah.
Because in this situation, it was an infant wrapped in a military blouse and thrown over the fence.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so the response may have been, well, let me focus on the blouse part and not the baby part. Yeah.
Got it.
That's tougher to
Because
explain.
the baby had Amerasian eyes. And so it was wrapped in the soldier's military blouse and sent back to where it came from.
Got it. Got it.
That image is incredible.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
It's when so I get asked to judge various awards, and I want to say 2-3 years ago, I was asked to judge this one award for like, best new fiction or whatever, like long form. And there was this one piece that was set during the time of King Arthur. And I had I knew the language was too casual for, that period, but it really, really, really bugged me. And I didn't know why. So I researched it and I realized we didn't use contractions back in the time of King Arthur. And the entire was like, well, you can't do that. Like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, ah. And it wasn't like this was a character coming from like 2025 and, doing a time travel to the time of King Arthur. No. This was simply the time of King Arthur. Some, previously lesser known knights, and I was just so horrified that my entire feedback to the author was, you really need to do your research before you start writing in a time period you're not familiar with. And this is why. And I gave him all these reference points as to where he should have gone so that it would actually ring true. Yeah. But I was so deeply, it was as if he was like, let's go play Nintendo together. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? So I get where you're.
Well, that adds another layer to the editing, because not every editor is going to know that, but every editor should question it and say, that's something I need to look up and make sure that's right. And like, for instance, if a writer mentions a 1957 Impala, there was no 1957 Impala, it was a Bel Air. And you may not know that, but you've got to, let me check on that. Let me check it. And which adds complexity and layers to editing. And there were no Iraq veterans in 1972 hanging out with soldiers from Vietnam. They're back.
Well, that goes back to the write what you know.
Yeah, right. And write what you know doesn't mean it has to be set in the period that you are living in. It just simply means that do your fucking research and understand what exactly it is that you're actually writing about. Yeah. And so many people miss that. Like they just, it's the same thing with if you're writing a character that is a different sex or different background than you are, that doesn't mean that you say, oh, I'm not allowed to do that. You say, hey, let me talk to people who've experienced things that I'm currently, evoking in this work and, find out, like, I may react this way, but they may react a completely different way and find out, well, what would that be? What would that reaction be? So wow, we only have like 2 minutes left. That is insane, people. Real fast. I actually was just given a heads up that a current role that I have for my day job is probably going to end in the next 2 weeks. So if anybody has any kind of insights into something that I could broach into, I would greatly appreciate it because I like being able to pay my bills. That's all. Also, hence why I had rum, and later on I'll probably switch to wine because it can get too strong after a while. I'm actually surprised that I'm articulate right now. Well, is there anything else, guys, that you want to cover, or any guys watching? Is there anything that you want to bring up? Because again, at least these 4 are articulate. So
that's debatable for me sometimes.
I feel that. I'm afraid to watch old videos of us talking because who knows what I said.
Sometimes I just forward them on or like repost them, but I won't go back and watch them. I won't go back and watch myself.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I do. Yep.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm focused on the wrong thing. I'm like, oh my God, why did I wear that lipstick? Or wow, I sound much more New Jersey than I thought I did. Or something along those lines. Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Well, as always, you guys, an absolutely phenomenal time together. I just think each and every one of you are fabulous. So, so with that, anyone
As I
watching?
do.
Well, thank you. Well, guys, don't forget, anyone watching Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we will be here. You need to be here too. And we will love, love, love to see you. So until next time, have a fantabulous week. Cool. Ciao.